Welcome back to another episode of the Indy Investor Pod. I'm Brett Snodgrass, and I'm with my buddy Brian Snyder. And today we're going to talk about lenders are tightening up. So, what does that mean for investors? How are they going to get the money? And will seller financing be the saving grace for Indianapolis investors? Let's check it out. Welcome back to another episode of the Indy Investor Pod. Like I said, I'm Brett Snodgrass. I'm with Brian Snyder. What's going on, Brian?
What
Long
is up,
time.
man? I am super excited to just talk about money today.
I am too. I've been looking at money, budgets, expenses, payroll, everything, man. It's like
Yeah.
money is all around us, and we're trying to find money, and that's what this episode's about. Really excited about this, and so kind of give your take on this, man. Like, we're right in the middle of this pandemic. A lot of things are going on. April's here, and lenders are tightening up, and it's hard to find money. So what are you hearing, and what's your take on all this stuff right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just kind of honestly just give an update kind of on how it just relates to us. I mean, because it is hitting us, and we're seeing it firsthand, just within our business and stuff like that. So anybody that doesn't know anything about our business, like, we buy all of our properties. So anything that we're marketing, anything that we're selling, we own all of our properties, and we're um, putting them out there and to different buyers groups and stuff like that. And so what we've kind of seen over, I think, the first 2 weeks, it was kind of funny because we were all sitting there and we're hearing a lot of horror stories from all of our buddies around the nation and things like that, of like, man, nobody's buying and things are crazy and they're letting people go and all this like crazy stuff. And it's kind of like, oh no, this isn't really affecting us. Everything's kind of been this status quo as far as Indianapolis goes, and with our buys and sells and stuff. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, this got pushed back a little bit. This got pushed back a little bit. And then kind of hit us like last week. We're like, oh my gosh, man, like everything that we have trying to close out is just everything's been pushing back. I mean, cash deals are going through, and actually I take it back. Even like some of the cash deals, I feel like people are just like pushing back like another couple days or even like a week just to make sure everything's okay and stuff. But really what we're seeing is just like anything that has any lending on it's taken a while, or some of them even dropped out too. And then, of course, me, kind of worrying about that and almost freaking out a little bit last week, just talking to other people around Indianapolis, around the nation, and just little things that people are in this industry. It's kind of been the same old story of like anything with, anything that has lending to do, either it's not closing or it's being pushed back for like, possibly even like a month or something like that. So definitely a little scary. I actually had two people reach out to me last week and basically say like, hey, if you're getting any deals locked up on the dispo side that's has hard money, that they're getting a hard money lender, like, do not count it as a sale. Like, don't even give it to them. Don't accept the offer. It's like, wow, like that's so crazy to hear, because for so long it's been strong of no matter what, like, your conventional financing, hard money financing, private money, all that stuff was going so strong here in Indy and things like that. So now it's just taking a look at, hey, this is a situation. This is what we're in. This is what we're dealing with. And this is why we're doing this podcast, because, we actually might have a solution, and kind of the way that we handle things here within our business. Of We have a lot of people that are looking for, they're looking for properties right now, but their lenders, or some of them are just not coming through, or they have a little bit of trouble with their lenders and stuff like that. So the way within our business is, since we do own all of our properties, we actually do have an option to be able to offer owner financing with our properties as well. And we've done it, a few each month here in the past. And, that's kind of why we wanted to have this episode and just kind of talk about it openly, of like, hey, we are able to do this within our business. We want to be able to do this. We want to help buyers out. So if you are looking for properties, that's really why, Brett and I want to talk about this openly today, is basically like, hey, we have properties that, we can offer owner financing on. And so let's kind of tell you how that is, how that works. And even if it isn't ours, I think it's always a question that buyers need to keep in mind of, hey, I'm having trouble with my lender. This is taking a little bit longer. Is there any way that, you can owner finance this, or the seller can owner finance this if it's a wholesale deal? Any of those things, I think it's something that you need to kind of put in your vocabulary and definitely take a look at, especially as we're getting into this type of stuff and how it's shaping up, because that might be a viable option and could be, I like how Brett kind of put on the title here. This could be the saving grace of just investing in Indy and kind of just helping everybody out, get some properties that people are looking for properties right now. So Yeah, that was a
That's awesome.
long-winded response.
No, that was good. It was a good response. I like that. But yeah, I mean, we dealt a little bit firsthand. We used a lot of private lenders and private investors. So we don't use a lot of hard money, the traditional companies, but we do use some. And it's funny, we're actually doing a deal right now that involves a hard money lender. And it went from literally, no, there's no issues, we're still lending, to well, we're going to get back to you, to we are still lending, but now here are the requirements. We need a full appraisal. You need to hold all of your interest payments for 12 months in an escrow account. And and it just started to get, wow, that's pretty big. That's like $25,000, holding an escrow account for 12 months. So their hard money lenders are still out there, but the requirements, some of them have just stopped completely. We've seen emails from, we're not doing anything right now. And then the other ones are being very, very conservative, where it's making it more difficult. So that's what we've seen. And if you're an investor out there in Indianapolis, you're probably experiencing the same thing, whether it's your traditional lender or a hard money lender. That's why I love working with private individuals myself. And so what does this mean? So lenders are tightening up, and real estate investors still need to buy properties, right? So there has to be some sort of solution to help sellers, which we're typically a seller, and to help buyers and investors. And that's what we're really going to talk about on this episode. Could seller financing be the saving grace, the ticket that you are looking for to help you continue investing, to weather the storm, to get through this? And we know other companies that offer this. And the good thing is, we actually know how to do this. We've been doing this for years. We know the process. We know the documentation that we use. This isn't a new thing. It's a thing that this became really, really important. So I don't want this show to be all about us, because that's really not what the Indy Investor Pod is all about. But since we know how to do this, that's why Brian and I were kind of doing this show ourselves, and just to kind of take you through just some of the benefits and some of the steps through that. So I'm going to toss it back over to you, Brian, and let's just talk about some of the benefits, and then I can kind of maybe take you through the process a little bit. But what are some of the benefits on our end, and then talk about some of the benefits on the investors' end that this can offer?
Right. And I'd say just a couple disclaimers on this is, obviously Brett and I we developed this podcast as being an educational tool for anybody that's investing in Indy, whether you're in state, out of state, whatever it is. And like, as Brett said, we're not doing this episode to kind of like push our brand and push our things of, hey, buy from us, we offer owner financing. We can do that. That's definitely what it is. But we just have expertise in it, and every company is a little different in what they offer and things like that. So we're going to speak on like kind of how our company operates, how our company does it. But I just kind of put it out there of, let this be in your vocabulary, let this be in your lingo of when you're talking to buyers or when you're talking to sellers. Is this an option for you? They might do it a little bit differently than how we do it, but we're just kind of putting it out there as, hey, this is how we do it. This is what works for us. And, hopefully it's working for other people as well and stuff. So if you have any questions, obviously reach out to either one of us, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. But kind of where the benefits really come into this is, I'm going to take it from two different aspects here. Number one, if you are flipping properties, I think this is an amazing opportunity for you to be able to basically pick up properties. Now, on our end, we do not finance the construction part of it. Some companies will do that as well, so that's something you can also take a look at. But basically, from if you are flipping a property, and you can basically just get a property under contract with us, buy it, with a certain down payment, whether that's kind of, we usually like to get somewhere around 30%. Depending on the deal, we can negotiate that. We can talk about that. No matter how it is, also depends on kind of, there's some other factors. But anyway, so let's say you put down 30%. Basically, you can just finance that property through us. If you are flipping, we have a good reputation. We can always come down on that a little bit too. But basically, then once you end up selling that property, as long as we get paid off, that's a great owner financing deal. So if you're looking to basically flip a property within like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever, owner financing is a great option for you. That way you don't have to put all that money right down right away. to buy that property outright as a cash deal or anything like that. So basically you have more money to just kind of put into the rehab, whatever you need. And then we look at it on the buy and hold side. Basically, it's a good opportunity where you can get a property, buy it on owner financing. Basically you can get that property, fix it up, do whatever you need to it, get it, tenanted, whatever you need to do. But then you can basically take that and then refinance it. Once everything turns around a little bit and everything's good, okay, just refinance it, get us paid off, and then it's yours free and clear. And then you can basically, or not free and clear, but financed through a traditional mortgage, and you can do that. So it's possible to do a burst strategy on it. It's possible to basically refinance as a package. So there's a whole bunch of different options. There's a whole bunch of just benefits of how you can really take advantage of this and use it to help you and help build your portfolio, especially in times like these, as you're going to see property values hopefully come down a little bit on that side of being able to own and finance, and just going to help you out a little bit more, and you pick up properties during this time.
No, I love it. Love it. I want to just kind of mention a couple other benefits that we don't talk a lot about, honestly, because whenever you're using hard money too, there's the interest rate, and then there's a lot of fees associated with it, and there's a lot of time and headaches, right? So one cool thing about seller financing, in my opinion, is, and whether we're doing it or we're buying from someone, is there's not a lot of fees. There's not a lot of documentation fees or junk fees. Typically, there's not an appraisal done because we're the one doing the deal, so there's not an appraisal that you have to pay for. There's less headaches as far as timing with everything. There's minimal documentation. For us, our company, we require some sort of documentation and an application. And if they're going to live in the property, we do go through an underwriting process. But if it's an investor, there's minimal documentation. It's a pretty easy process, and it's cheaper, right, at the end of the day. So it's a great strategy. Like Brian said, you can do it to flip properties, you do the BRRRR strategy. We've also sold to landlords that rent out the property, so they keep the seller financing for not just 6 months, but there's multiple years that they can keep that loan with us. So it's a great way, again, for investors to continue to invest during this time. It solves the problem that they don't really need a lender anymore, and it's easier and it's cheaper. So it's a great process. And I'll talk to the companies out there that are similar to us. It's a great thing for you guys that if you are able to take down the properties, and instead of selling the properties for cash, if you have the ability to seller finance the properties, again, you can continue doing your deal flow. You can get your residual income because that's what it brings. And you can weather the storm out through seller financing. So I think it can be literally a saving grace for the investors that are buying in Indy and for the sellers that are selling in Indy. And I think if you're a wholesaler or a wholesale company and you're talking to private owners, motivated sellers out there, it can help them, right? Because we bought a lot of properties on terms, and it's another conversation that you can have with them, to buying their property on terms and walk them through this process. So I think it's just a conversation all around, and it's just great. So Brian, kind of talk to us about just, is there anything that we should know or the investors should know on steps, anything to kind of look out for? Because this could be, an area that if you're not used to doing, there is some sort of process. It's very similar to a closing, but it's also a little bit different, and making sure things are lined up. But if you're an investor looking to buy a property with seller financing, what are some of the things that they need to know, I guess?
Yeah, so I just make sure you kind of cover, you want to ask the questions of kind of, so when they say you guys agree to terms and about basically how much is the down payment, what's the interest payment, how long are the terms for the length of the loan, is there an early payoff penalty, is there a balloon payment, any of that kind of stuff, have that, definitely ask those questions. Then when it comes to that monthly payment too, make sure you're taken care of, and make sure hey, what do those monthly terms basically, what do they cover? Do they cover, is the insurance rolled into that as well? Is The taxes rolled into that as well. Is that something you guys have to pay on your own? Those types of things. So those are all kind of the general kind of what you have to go through. Make sure you handle all the questions, know what the application process is, know kind of what's going on with everything you need to turn in for it and things like that. Is the term, are you going to get, is this on a land contract? Is this on a note and mortgage? Those types of things. Will the closing take place in a title company? Can we do it in a title company? If not, can you show me evidence of clear title? Those are all kinds of things that I would make sure that I cover and things, especially with the land contract versus notes and mortgage. Make sure you kind of understand kind of how that works and things. As a land contract, the owner that is selling to you would still basically be on the deed. If it's a note and mortgage, then the buyer is going to be on the deed. So that's one big difference of kind of understanding that, knowing what's going on with that as well. So those are the main things that I would cover and the main things that I would look at. So make sure you know all the terms and everything like that, but then also what kind of contract is it? Where does, can you show me clear title? Those types of things. But then also what did that monthly payment, what all does that cover? Does that cover the house, the insurance and the taxes, or just the house? I have to do insurance and taxes on my own. Make sure you just kind of have those questions taken care of and you know how much you really have into the property at any given time and stuff like that. Is there an application fee, that type of thing as well, if it's going through underwriting and that type of thing as well?
No, I love it. And yeah, so I would study up on the land contract versus a note and mortgage. We actually prefer to sell a note and mortgage. I think it's also better for the investor. Their name gets on the title,
Mhm.
and we're just the lien holder. We're just the bank, right? And one thing that's really cool, especially if you're doing a short-term loan, let's just say 6 months or less. And one thing that we've been able to help investors with is defer the payments. So let's say you only need the loan for 6 months and you're going to do a burr strategy, or you're going to sell that property within 6 months. We'll defer the payments and you can just pay us all the interest and everything back when you sell the property, which again saves you money there. So
I think sorry, Brett, before you go on, I think it's just one of my favorite things that I love about this business in general is that because I had this conversation with one of our acquisition guys the other day, and he was just like, "Oh, I didn't know we could do that." And I just told him again. I say this like at least once a week to our team or just other investors. Nothing's off the table. Like everything's an option. So especially when you're coming into, we're talking about seller financing and stuff like that. If somebody's like, "Hey, these are our terms, this is what we go by," and stuff like that, just ask questions, and it never hurts to ask. They can say no. It's just part of the negotiation. So there's a lot of things within a owner financing deal that you can negotiate and things like that. Just as simple as like, "Hey, I'm going to flip this property. My plan is to do it in 4 months. How about if I just give you the down payment and then I just pay it off, and then I pay everything else off in the 4 months when I sell it?" Like, yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that at all. So just asking things like that and kind of anything that comes across your mind of like, "Hey, can we do this, or can we figure this out, or when is that first payment? Can we put off 2 months instead of paying the first month?" That just don't. Everything's on the table and everything's negotiable. So just keep that in mind.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Just write it down, put it in documentation, um, have someone look over it that you trust, an attorney or whatnot. And sounds good. So wrapping up this episode, and Brian, if you have any more advice, you can definitely share it. But biggest things, again, we talked about the lenders are tightening up. How can you get money? Seller financing is a great option, whether you're a seller or an investor buyer. You can do the burr strategy with it. You can flip properties. You can hold on to the properties. Typically, you can get it cheaper as far as the doc fees and appraisal fees. There's less headaches, minimal documentation. It's just a great strategy all around. So during this time, when things look very uncertain, this can be something that can really weather the storm and get you guys through this. So Brian, any last tips?
No, this isn't really a tip. This is more of like a kind of an ask, I guess, of when people, when we're talking about this stuff and we're just going by what we hear and what we kind of are going on with our deals and stuff like that. We see a lot of people having trouble with hard money right now, and that's really kind of the basis of this. And we're in no way knocking hard money because we use hard money. We work with hard money lenders all the time. So my ask is kind of we only go by what, like I said, what we hear and what's going on with some of our deals and stuff like that. So if you are somebody that is working with hard money or is a hard money lender, or you're using hard money to buy properties right now, I would definitely just kind of reach out. This is an educational platform, so I would just kind of comment on this or whatever. If you know of somebody that's still lending with hard money, or you're still buying deals, or you have any positive experience with that, I'd just put it out here to put on the comments, stuff like that. If you have a good resource to reach out to, I think it'd be a good thing, because we in no means are like, bashing hard money in any way or anything like that. We're just going by what we see. So if we know somebody that's doing it well, we would love to hear about it. And, we'd love to have an episode with you and we could talk about it even. So it's kind of more of an ask, but yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us on episode 11 on the Indy Investor Pod. And we would love to hear your guys' comments. If you see this on Facebook or YouTube, please leave us comments and ask us questions. You can reach out to myself, Brett Snodgrass, on Facebook, or Brian Snyder on Facebook. You can also check out our Simple Wholesaling, which is our company, and you can post anything on there as well. We thank you guys so much, and have a great day. We'll see you next time.